Disorder of thought is another aspect of psychopathology of human behavior. As you know that when we are thinking, there are various activities taking place in our mind. We imagine something, we try to understand it, and then infer it. When all these things are put together, we say that the thoughts are formed, or there is formation of thought. Now, when we try to see that one idea after the other comes quickly and completes the particular idea, we say that thought is progressing. And when you attach a value or give a content or try to explain that, that is called a content of thought. So when we talk about thought, we say that thoughts are formed, they progress, and also there is content in a particular thought. In the similar manner, when we are going to talk about disorders of thinking, we will talk about disorders of thought at formation level, at content level, and also at progression level. When we talk about thought disorder at formation level, the very common disorder is autistic thinking. In autistic thinking, as the word indicates, auto means self. The person is self-absorbed, is in the fantasy or daydreaming, does not worry what is happening around him or her, does not even bother if somebody is calling or some mishappening is taking place, because the person is so very self-absorbed, we call it as person is having autistic thinking. Autistic thinking is interchangeable to delustic thinking. And you will find that autistic thinking is one of the primary symptoms of schizophrenia when we describe about Wheeler's 5 A's. Autistic thinking is in the topmost as symptom of schizophrenia. Now, the other kind of disorder is thought disorder at progression level. When we talk about progression level, we say that there has to be a flow of thoughts or there has to be stream of thought. That means the flow of thinking is not so very good, or the stream of thought is not that very good. When the disorder occurs in flow or stream, we call it as disorder at the progression level. One of the very common one is flight of ideas. Now, as the word indicates, that means the ideas are being formed very well. At formation level, there is no problem. The ideas are being formed, but they are being formed very quickly. One after the other, the ideas are coming, and they are getting into each other. With the result, when the person is talking, person is flying from one topic to another. So the stream of thought is increased, and also you will find there will be increased pressure of speech. Let's take an example. You ask from a patient, what did you have today morning in the breakfast? The patient says, oh, in the breakfast, the egg. Oh, we should not take non-vegetarian diet, it is not good. I know that person, he's very bad, he's got a killing instinct, that color is very nice, I like the soothing colors, I hope this word is a little cleaner, at least everybody should not talk loudly. So you can make out, there's no link in the ideas, but the ideas coming in the mind and person wants to speak too many things. And that has got meaning for the patient, remember. This kind of disorder you will find in the patient who got hypomania or excitement. The other kind of disorder is disorder of thought at level, we call it as retardation, thought retardation. In thought retardation, the ideas are being formed, but the person has to take too much initiative to bring out that idea. Lot of persuasion is to be used by the nursing person to get an answer of a simple question that what time did you get up in the morning. The person will have to make efforts to think, to look at the watch and realize and speak what time he he or she got up in the morning. And suppose the person is able to say that much, he or she will not be able to complete that particular idea. That means the thoughts are at a retardation level, and the person talks very softly, very slowly, and at times, you know, you may become very restless. But remember, this is one of the very common symptoms or psychopathological changes in patients with depression or withdrawn. The other kind of disorder is circumstantiality. Now, circumstantiality, you will find in this, you ask a question from the patient starts the topic, and he will go around and around and talk so many things, and then comes back to the topic, like beating around the bush. For example, if you ask from the patient that, which magazine are you reading? Oh, this magazine, I got up yesterday at night and I wanted to do something. I walked down to the sister and I asked her, can I help her in something? And sister, she said, no, there's no need because all the patients are sleeping. I asked her, can I switch on the TV? She said, no, it will disturb the patients. And then I paced up and down, but then I came back and yes, this magazine, I am reading some article, you know, sister. So, I mean, he talked everything unnecessarily which had no relationship, and then came back to the topic and said that I am reading this article in this particular magazine. This is called circumstantiality. You will find this kind of behavior in patients with schizophrenia. Let us take another disorder of thought at the progression level, tangentiality. In tangentiality, patient starts the topic, goes around and around and around and goes away from the topic, does not come back. Like in circumstantiality, the patient comes back to the topic after going around, but in tangentiality, the patient starts the topic but does not come back to the topic. Perseverance is another type of disorder at the progression level. Here you find that the patient is stuck to one particular word or to one particular idea, and the thoughts do not progress. For example, you ask the patient, what did you do today when the doctors came to ask you whether you would like to go to daycare center, and you went in the daycare center, what did you do there? You can make the sentence brief and say, what did you do today in the daycare center? The patient says that I wanted to play carom board, and then you ask the other question, did you play the carom board? He will say that I don't like to play the carom board with others. I don't like to sit and play the carom board. So that means the thought is not progressing, and person is trying to repeat that particular word again and again, or that particular idea is repeating in the mind of the person. Now, if we take another kind of disorders at the progression level, very common is blocking. You will find that thought blocking occurs when the person is emotionally disturbed or very terrified, or that particular idea is very painful. You will find that there will be sudden blocking of the thought. For example, you ask the person, what happened to your wife, and the patient wants to talk about wife but does not talk because there must have been something painful when he lost his wife, or say when the wife was not there with him. So this painful thing, he wants to put it off from his mind, and he gets a block, and then after some time he wants to talk, but talk something else, not about that particular issue. Many times in the setting of examination, you find that you have remembered all the 10 points very well, and when you start writing, suddenly on point 7 you get stuck, and you are not able to remember that, but 8, 9, 10 you can remember. And you scratch and do anything, but that number 7 is not coming in your mind. The moment you step out of the examination hall, that number 7 you remember, and you say, my Lord, now I remember. Now this is because you are under stress, you are under anxiety, and you are so worried that whether you can recall all the points or not, it occurs as a blocking. But that's once in a while. That's not taken as mental disorder. But in case of patients, this comes very frequently, and then in analysis you can make out that blocking has to be removed so that the person is able to talk more freely. Incoherence is another type of disorder which does not let the thought progress. For example, you find in the ward, the patient has got ideas. One idea is getting into other idea, but patient is speaking, but that speech is not clear, it's not coherent, it is not understandable. One cannot comprehend what is being said by the patient. For example, you ask the patient what happened. The patient says, accident, met with an accident, or no, I took medicine and then maybe my sister, and something like that. The patient wants to complete the sentence but cannot do it because of so many ideas coming and the speech is not clear or coherent. This can happen in the patients who are in the stuporous phase, or also amongst the patients who are on drugs or medicines, and even the patients who are taking neuroleptic drugs. So we can keep a watch of these kind of things and identify whether it is drug-induced type of a symptom, or it is whether the person is on medicine and the symptoms are being shown, or whether it is the schizophrenic kind of incoherence. Now, the other important type of disorder of thought is disorder at the content level. Let me take back to you for a minute to disorders at the progression level. Whatever we have talked about, circumstantiality, tangentiality, incoherence, blocking, or we also talked about flight of ideas, all this, do not allow the thought to progress. That is why we say that these are the disorders at the progression level of the thinking. Now, the third one is the disorder of thought at the content level. Now, we are talking about content. As we have talked just a few minutes back, that content is the subject of the thought, or also the emotion attached to that particular thinking. That's what makes it a content. The disorder at the content level are delusions. You will find very commonly seen amongst the psychiatric patients in the ward. The other is hypochondrias, also phobias, and obsessions. Let us take one by one. When we talk about delusions, these are false beliefs. I call it as a false belief because they are not in congruence with the thinking of other people of same age or same norms. I mean, they don't fall into the same thinking of the other people of the same age. So they are false beliefs. They are very strong conviction, which the person will not be able to change it no matter what rationalization you give. The other important feature is they are persistent. That means it is not only once or twice the person behaves like that, but these beliefs are persistent. Given a situation, the person will have similar kind of belief about that particular aspect. Let us make it more clear. By one type of delusions, we call it as delusion of grandeur. Now, in delusion of grandiosity or grandeur, you will find that the patient may think he is a king. He behaves like a king, walks like a king, talks like a king, even orders around like a king. I can't forget a patient whom I had seen in Bangalore. We went in the ward and we were students like you. When we went in the ward, a person came, very nicely groomed, and, he told us, gave us sort of orientation of the ward, explained us which patient is suffering from what, and we asked, who are you here? He said, I am a social worker and I come to help these poor patients. And later on, the other person, the senior nursing person came and she said, okay, I'm sorry, I'm a little late, let me give you the orientation of the ward. But we said, we already got the orientation of the ward. And then the person asked, who gave you the orientation? And we said, such and such person gave us the orientation. And then later on, the nursing officer told us that who that person is, and he has got delusion of grandiosity. And it's so clear in my mind the way he walked and talked to us, likewise you'll find in the ward, early in the morning the patient gets up and tells that I am in charge of this ward, and if you don't listen to me, I'll go and complain to the director. Now these are some of the examples of delusion of grandiosity, and you will find this very commonly in the ward amongst the patient with hypomania or manic disorders. The other delusion is delusion of persecution. Here the patient finds that somebody is there to cause him harm, or is there to kill him, or he may come and injure him. Even in the ward, the patient have these kind of delusions, whereas such kind of things may not exist. It is just his false belief. And this delusion sometimes leads to many problems. The patient may not even eat food or talk to the people or go alone in the bathroom to take bath because of this delusion. And again, you will find this will be seen commonly in the patient with paranoid schizophrenia. Very commonly you see this symptom in the ward. Along with this, sometimes you also find delusion of suspiciousness. That means these kind of patients, they have false belief that somebody is going to add poison in my food, or somebody is going to, somebody is talking about me or against me. So that suspiciousness is there. Many times you will find delusion of suspiciousness and delusion of persecution go side by side, and you can see both of these delusions in one particular patient suffering from paranoid schizophrenia. The other kind of delusion is delusion of self-accusation. You find here the patient feels that he is useless, worthless, hopelessness feeling is there, and thinks that he is good for nothing, accuses himself for anything which goes on wrong in his family or in the ward. For example, if you ask the patient, when are your children going to come and see you in the ward, he would say, why should my children come in the ward? After all, what good I have done to my children? I have been punishing, I have been beating, I have not been going for my job, so it's not worth for me to get children as my visitors, because they should not come and visit me. If they don't come, I should not feel bad about it. He has got that kind of feeling in himself, and which is his false belief or her false belief. Again, you will find in depressive patient, withdrawn patient, these kind of behavior or this kind of delusion. It's a false belief. The delusion of guilt is again very common, where you will find the patient has a feeling that he has done some sin or he has done something wrong, and because of that he should get punishment, and that guilt feeling is so much, which is self-built. Again, it is false belief that he has done bad to somebody, he has done wrong to somebody, and because of him the person lost the job, because of her somebody died. That kind of belief is there in the person, and again you will find this is commonly seen amongst the depressive patients in the ward. Other than this, there are nihilistic delusions. You will find that the person has a false belief that he does not exist, or the part of his body does not exist, or the part of her fingers are not there, or relatives are not there. This is called delusion of nihilistic delusion, and you will find this amongst the schizophrenic patients. Well, these are different kinds of delusion, and other than these, you will find some more amongst the patients in the ward. Now, the other kind of disorder at the content level is hypochondrias. Hypochondrias is exaggerated feeling an individual has or thinking an individual has about his or her health. He's got a feeling or thinking that he's got pathological disorders, or there is some pathology in his body without actually any laboratory diagnosis or actual medical pathology. In other words, there is no pathological disorder actually in the patient, but patient has got exaggerated feeling that he has got that kind of disorder. Even a small, wart or a boil in the skin, he may start exaggerating and saying that he has got cancer, a cancerous growth is coming up in the, hand, and he may go for all kind of expensive laboratory investigation. This is called hypochondrias, and this does exist in neurotic personality as well as in functional disorders or psychotic disorders. We also got another disorder, we call it as compulsion. Compulsion is, repeated act which the person performs, but obsession, I have put compulsion first because that is very commonly attached with obsession. Obsession is a thought disorder. It is ruminating thought, or obsessive rumination is there. That means thought is repeatedly coming in the mind of the person and the person performs the act. This is what is called as obsessive thoughts or obsessive rumination in the person. And this ruminative thoughts which are coming, it disturbs the patient, and person is compelled to do the activity to overcome that anxiety. And that is why, you find obsessive compulsive or compulsive obsession goes side by side. But when we talk about the thought disorder, we say obsession. When we talk about the activity disorder, we say compulsive activity. But it goes side by side, because when the thoughts are coming repeated in the mind of the person, they are projected in terms of activities which are called as compulsion. The other kind of disorder or type of disorder at the content level is phobias. Well, this term may look to be very simple, but sometimes it is very troublesome for the person who gets it. It is an exaggerated pathological fear of a particular object or a person for which the other people may not have. The very fact I am saying exaggerated pathological fear, that means everybody does not have it. And this you will find will be presented by the people with psychoneurotic disorders. There are various kinds of phobias. There is acrophobia, agoraphobia. You will find the patients with having excessive phobia or pathological fear towards injection or pain. We call it as algophobia. There may be fear about the high places. We call it as acrophobia. There may be person having claustrophobia. Various kinds of phobias are there. There is a long list of it, but these are few of the examples. Now, in this program, specifically, I have talked about disorders at the thought level. We have mentioned about disorders of thought at the formation level, at content level, and progression level. It is very important for you as students of mental health and psychiatric nursing to know about disorders and identify them when you are working with the patients, because this will help you to not only treat the patient or help the patient in your nursing intervention, but also understand that this behavior is occurring in the patient because of pathological changes in the psyche or the mind of the person. It's not that the person is trying to show it, but person has this disorder because of which these signs and symptoms are being presented by the patient. And that is where you have to take care of the patient, plan the care, intervene accordingly.